You know, it's one thing to say during the recruiting process what their goals are, but when they get there, what are your goals? Where do you think you are? And once you put those goals down, he deems it his responsibility to hold them to that every day. And that's really what it is. It's an everyday process. And guess who's involved? The parents, the people that are in the kid's ear. And you can bet that, you know, it may sound a little high school Harry, but I'm going to be in the ears of everybody that's involved with the player, everybody that impacts the student athlete. I'm going to be involved. We're going to be involved because that's the only way, because every little piece, and unfortunately you've got the social media, but every time that somebody casts doubt in that kid's ear, that's one more step away from their goals. And so is it invasive? Yes. Is it being in your kid's business? Yes. But for any of you that have coached out there, if you coach somebody long enough, you start to care about them. And if you start to care about them long enough, they start to kind of mimic the way you treat your own kids, for those that have kids. And, you know, there's a line in coaching where you say, gosh, you know, sometimes I want it worse than you. And that's true. But you find that you're saying the same stuff to your kids and their own goals. And there's some mimicry there where you just get so desperate to help your players understand. But, you know, there's a new beast out there, and that's where everybody's trying to be the hero and make money or make fame off of these kids, especially at this level. And if you're not, if someone doesn't keep their circle tight, or you're not plugged into what's going on and what's being said to your student athlete, it's a problem. And so you got to be in tune with everybody that's in this kid's ear.
Zach.
Mike, or Kevin, are you at the beach?
Yeah, I came down to Florida a few days ago and I've lost my base tan. So it's like
what part there, Studley? I like the tan.
West Palm Beach. Yeah. Yeah. Visiting some family. Yeah.
Maybe a little burnt, maybe a little sunscreen for you today.
I put on 30 and it didn't work.
50's the play. Maybe a hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you golf
next time? Yeah.
Do you golf?
No, fishing. So I'm out in the water.
What'd you catch?
Yeah, some kingfish, king mackerel, stuff like that. So, you know,
Yep.
Good stuff.
Maybe a hat, some sunscreen.
Yeah.
From a guy that's had melanoma. Let's do it.
My skin doesn't, it's 2 years in Indiana. My skin doesn't react the way it used to. I lived in Florida 18 years before that. So
I'm thinking right here.
Yep.
Jim Coyle.
How am I going to follow that, man? Dane, how are you doing, man?
Is that real hair?
Are you talking about me or are you talking about Kevin?
Is that the fake hair hat?
No, man. Oh yeah, fake hair hat. You know, that's the real stuff, brother.
Okay.
That's the real stuff. Nice to see you again. How are you?
Good to see you, Jim.
I've got my sunscreen all lined up, though. I'm ready, good to go. I'm not on vacation. I'm here working hard, covering you guys.
You got 50 on now. You look like me.
Exactly. It's working too hard. Hey, talking about all the things that you have as far as your passion and all of that, there's a lot of fractures in the program, even in the fans, because there's so many different eras from Coach Knight's era, whether it's Sampson, Crean, Miller, you got all these groups now, but there's also groups in the fans. There's a lot of fractures.
Yes.
Winning does a lot for that. But there's a lot that needs to be brought back together. You're obviously, I think, the guy to do that. But why is that? And what is part of what you're planning on doing to bring all of that together?
Well, like you said, winning's important. But I think when Coach Knight left, it brought about a lot of questions. Obviously, some uncertainty and instability. And I think since then, it's really left people in wonderment, especially the new generation, the younger generations of Indiana. Where is this Indiana basketball that's so great? And they've never really been able to attach themselves to what makes this place so special. And, you know, it just seems like we have a bunch of Yankees and Red Sox fans that are fine when we're good, and they're brutal when we lose. But that's not the way it used to be. Yeah, we were booed off the court, but those same people showed up the next time cheering their heads off. You know, the balconies were filled to play a team that was out of a conference that they'd never heard of. And it's okay to get upset, but you know what's going on now is pretty superficial, and you know what do they call it? Fair weather fanish. And I understand it. I really do. We have to get some stability here, and I think Coach Woodson and the staff here is going to dig in and get out to these small towns and visit with these former players, because we all have a responsibility, and you guys do too. This massive media following, you guys do too. So when you're bitching about our team, you know, that's fine. But if you're wrong, if I think you're wrong, you know, I'm going to call you. And if you think our offense is wrong, I'd like for maybe you guys to call us or call me. I don't know where Woody stands on that, but you know, if you guys are going to be putting the message out there, let's just make sure we're getting it right. And that involves working together. We'll tell you as much as we can, but you know, just make sure you get the stories on what's going on. And because you know, unfortunately or fortunately, you guys know what you're talking about. And I know you got to sell papers and sell clicks, but you also got to get it right, be fair, and we'll try to be fair with you guys. But this place, I think we'll mend a lot of fences here, Jim, just by virtue of Coach Woodson being here. You know, connecting the old with the young, and by the older guys coming back, the older fans coming back, and helping this younger, newer generation. I think it's going to do a lot of education and teaching to these newer, younger generations and the students that we have now. You know, we gotta talk the word too. We got to talk it. We got to talk about how special this place still is and should be.
Mike Pegram.
Pigs.
Hey, Dane, Mike
I used to
Pegram
go to the Pigs tailgate, everybody, before Midnight Madness. That is a sign of being all in.
Yeah, good times. Got to set it back to midnight then to make it happen.
Past my bedtime. Yours too.
Hey, what were your first thoughts when you heard Thad Matta was going to be involved with the program? And also, how well did you know Kenya Hunter before all this, and how might you two complement each other?
Well, Thad Matta, gosh, I remember back when he was at Xavier, and I wouldn't have thought he knew who I was. And we just happened to maybe be eating next to each other in a hotel, eating breakfast. And he stopped and introduced himself. And I was, I think, a GA at Indiana. And he said, if there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know. And it just goes such a long way for little things like that. And then he coached at Ohio State while we were at Indiana. And I've just always thought of him as most importantly, just a high character person. And so when I found out he was here or coming here, and then when I had the opportunity, it was golden for me, because you're working for a coach. I can't remember how many years he was at Ohio State, but he's been a head coach for a long time. And he's just a great person. He's such a positive person to be around. And his wife, Barbara, I get to know, you know what? It's just somebody that you can really learn from, that's been in the business, that's taken the hits, you know, that's had to walk away from a great job. It's just been through it and won at a high level. So this is a perfect scenario for us, you know, myself and obviously our head coach, Coach Woodson. I was fired up to find out he's here, and I just hope he'll stay for a long time. Kenya Hunter, I got to know Kenya when he was at Nebraska. He worked with Michael Lewis, and if he's good with Michael, he's good with me. And I think it just rings true. He's a great worker. he's what I would say a complete coach, where he's not just an X's and O's guy or recruiter. He does the whole thing. And Kenya's going to be, to me, a great head coach someday, just because he kind of knows everything that can make a program go. He's got a great understanding for it. So complementing each other, I don't think we'll miss a beat as far as the staff, especially as it goes with myself and Kenya.
Thanks.
Alec.
Hey, Coach. Alec Lastly, thehoosier.com. Can you just talk a little bit about facing Indiana twice last year, knowing a little bit about the roster already? What do you like about it, and where's some rooms that you really need to kind of progress and get better?
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk to Finney yet about it, but we beat him last year because Rob Finney, he didn't hawk the ball like he did. Now I say that with a smirk, but I like their team. As I said, they were to me an NCAA tournament team, and I think we've got to get back to we were a -3 in rebounding. You got big Trace and Race up front. That shouldn't happen. And you got toughness with Rob Finney, as the head of the snake. That's a critical part. And so we got those three coming back. So you got defense and rebounding. You got somebody setting the tone right up front. And then you've got those two guys at the back line. We've got to get more from Trace on the defensive end. I think he averaged just about 10 in conference rebounding. We got to get that to 13. We got to get him and Race fighting for balls above the rim every possession. That's fine. Maybe they both need face masks because at least we know they're going after it. The one thing that I'm definitely going to bring is the defending and rebounding intensity from Michigan State. And I think Coach Woodson's already said that that's got to be a staple anyway. Well, we're going to take it to another level here, Lord willing, and get these guys to understand that, those last 4 or 5, 6 games that they lost, they were in it under 2 minutes. And those are the things, aside from free throw shooting, that'll get you beat, is if you don't defend and come up with those loose balls and control those possessions when it matters.
Ken.
Coach Ken Bycock from Peas.com. I can assure you this is my real hair.
Hey, that's sharp. That is sharp. That's fresh.
What's that?
Is it fresh this morning?
Over the weekend, anyway.
Maybe we need better HD on this
Yeah,
internet.
well, everybody needs that. So you went through a firing and a transition, obviously, as a player, to the point that even in the moment you talked about possibly transferring and all of that, you stayed. How did that experience as a player kind of help you coming into this situation when players are going through some of the same kind of emotions?
Well, at the time I came to play for Coach Knight, and I'd do it all over again. My issue was that I was told that they weren't bringing. I'd said all along, look, we're going to respect what President Brand just did. Well, at least I was. And if they keep Coach Davis and Treelor, I just assumed that was the natural progression of it. It was too late, into the fall and going into the preseason that I felt they could bring in another coach other than a recycled coach. And so once I found out that, they were going to keep Coach Davis and Treelor, that was an easy decision to me. And the reason is my teammates, and it was Indiana basketball. And so it's just, I didn't want to play for somebody new system that didn't represent potentially what I came to play here for. And honestly, I was going to go play at Michigan State, and, I was going to pay my own way and for a year at least and go to Michigan State, because Coach Izzo was to me, the kind of the Indiana of Michigan at the time. And he was making headway as far as competing for championships. But guys like Kirk Haston and, Coverdale and Jared Odell and, you can go down the list, Jared Jeffries, Jeff Newton, those guys, Moye, They were like my brothers, and that's what ultimately it comes down to is, you know, it's family, but it has to be lived every day. And that's why I decided to come back, and it was an easy decision for me.
Did that experience kind of help you with the players now, kind of help them work through some of their emotions?
Well, I didn't do a very good job with Brunk, but I didn't get a lot of time. But here's the thing: like kids, there's so many more distractions. There's so many more people involved in these kids' lives with opinions that it's really easy. And I'm not suggesting this happened to Joey, but it's so easy to get sidetracked and get distracted with social media and people just constantly pecking at you if you don't have your circle tight. But that's on the staff too. You know, we got to know we got to look for signs. We got to be investigators. We got to be almost FBI to know what's being thrown in these kids' faces and going in their ears. There's just so many people out there with an agenda that have access to our players. You know, they had the same access at Michigan State. And if you're not plugged in, especially especially during this time where the portal's open and everybody's painting a picture of the grass being greener somewhere else. You get somebody that didn't have a great year and doesn't have, you know, the self-confidence of betting on themselves. You know, they're ripe for the picking. And, you know, every program's dealing with it. The ones that are plugged into their players and make sure they're answering questions and, you know, eliminating doubts is as much as anything. And, you know, great teammates play a role. And that's the thing, you know, I was talking to Anthony Leal about this morning is, you know, if you don't know a teammate's struggling, then you're really got your head in the sand as much as a coach does. You know, here we got to preach teammate support too, you know, and if you feel you can't get through to a teammate as a player, you got to talk to the staff and let them know that a teammate's struggling. That's as important as anything. And so there's going to be a lecture to the staff today as much as there'll be a lecture to the players.
I appreciate it. Welcome back to Bloomington.
Thanks, Ken.
Aaron,
Hi, Coach. Aaron Matus from WDRB in Louisville. I was actually watching some old video and old press conferences from you back in the day. And I think it was in Atlanta. You said this is where Indiana belongs in Final Fours and Final Eights. So I'm just wondering, you know, almost 20 years later, does that comment still hold water, so to speak, or do you need to earn that?
Eventually, yeah. Well, that was at the time. That was 20 years. You got me. But you know what, Aaron? That's a good point. It's a good question, not in a condescending way. You know, we are fragmented, and like I said, we as the state of Indiana basketball has got to be. There's still some missing pieces, and I think we all, Coach Woodson, myself, we all can talk the talk, but we've got to dig in with people and figure it out. And there's no one person that's causing a problem. It's really just takes man hours. It takes work. It takes time on the clock that we've got to invest. And it's got to be a complete and full investment, but it takes the right understanding. You know, we've got to get out into these communities, you know, when COVID's done and reinvest in the things that, you know, really helped Coach Knight, you know, and the coaches before, the players before. This still is a community deal. I mean, I can remember traveling the state, sitting in gyms, even as a player here, high school gyms, barnstorming tours, camps, going up to play golf, not very good, but different golf outings. Those are the things that protect you do, not just to engage with people and engage with alumni and more or less just to tell them thank you by being there. That's your way of saying thank you. But when you recognize that we're not just Instagram, Instagram sensations or Twitter sensations, and you recognize that, Trace Jackson Davis is one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet. Race Thompson, incredible kid. Finnessy, incredible kid. Leo Galloway. These are kids that grew up just like you guys, myself, Coach Woodson, that they're still the same dudes, you know, and instead of doing our social media things, you know, and sending out pictures after wins or losses, let's go out and sign autographs. Let's go into these communities. Let's go to Newcastle or Fort Wayne or Elkhart or Kokomo or Clarksville and be with the fans, the people that love this program, and tell them thank you. And I don't want anybody crying on this. Okay. It looks like Dylan looks like he's about to cry here, get sentimental. But I think the reality is none of that really happens anymore. And I don't think it's anybody's fault, but it's just something that I know has to happen in order for this to work, you know, as you mentioned, the way it's supposed to work. And it doesn't mean that we're winning the national championship next year. It doesn't mean that we're going to the Elite Eight, because I'm not sure how it's going to unfold next year. I can tell you how it's going to unfold, but nobody really knows. This portal and these players coming and going everywhere around the country, who knows? I couldn't tell you how good the Big Ten or bad the Big Ten is going to be next year. But what I can tell you is when we can get out and get into these communities, you can bet that me and my daughters, my two little girls, they're going to see what Indiana basketball is all about. You know, and if we go down to Louisville, we still expect people to be in their candy stripes and come up to say hello. You know, I think that, you know, there'll still be some old grannies or grandpas may come up and ask if I'm still playing, which, you know, it's you still playing? How many more years you got? But it's that's how you build. That's how you rebuild, and that's how you reestablish this culture that was so strong when I was here.
Okay, we got time for two more questions. John.
Hi, this is John Blau with the Herald Times in Bloomington. I saw, or I heard an interview you had with Dan Dockich. You were talking about your two kids are actually Michigan State fans. Have you done anything yet to kind of break them of that, or kind of where are you in that process?
Well, we can always buy their love and buy their fandom with candy, junk food. We're going to do it more organically, not with organic candy and junk food, but just let them figure it out. They're going to come down here and they'll realize real quick that whether you're a Boiler or a Spartan, they're respectful for the most part, but they're going to see that this is a pretty special place. You know, my 8-year-old booed me yesterday, but she did have a candy stripe, you know, hair tie on, and she didn't even know my wife slipped one on her head. And she said she liked it. So she liked the cream and crimson. She didn't even realize what she was doing. You know, my wife's Indiana grad too, and she's kind of subtly been brainwashing them their whole lives. So I think once they get down here, they'll be switched over and won't even know what hit them.
Okay, last question, Olivia.
Hi, Coach. Olivia Ray here with Wish TV and also a proud Indiana grad. So as you were getting sentimental there a couple of questions ago, I want you to get back in that mindset and tell me how you felt walking back in Assembly Hall for the first time, now being back a part of the Indiana program. Did it feel the same? Did it feel completely different? Have you hit up any of your favorite spots being back in town?
Yeah. Well, Assembly Hall, you know, the COVID version happened last year and, you know, the years prior. But now that I'm back, I guess on the right side, it's funny you ask. I can't wait to sneak in. I still haven't had time just to go sit in the bleachers or sit in the chairs. Sit in the chairs where maybe my grandparents sat or my parents sat and watched me, where the families would sit. I'd always look up there and see who was there watching. So many stories come back to me, funny stories during practice with Coach Knight or Coach Davis, or funny stories, during games, stuff that would happen. It just not much has changed, Olivia, and that's what's really unique about it. It's just they really haven't done much. You look up at the suite, the 76, I can't remember the name of it, but the Spirit of 76 suite, and that is really neat, and that's something that's a great addition. But the bleachers are still the same. When you back the bleachers up, you still can't get to the top of the very top of the 3-point line and get a good shot there. And I think that, talking X's and O's with Coach Woodson, there's just so many things that reflect the things we both learned from Coach Knight. It's really neat to go back to what would be deemed primitive, but in the end, all the things that Coach Knight would teach transcend time. What worked then worked now. And it's really just hard work, dedication, being all in, being coachable, and trusting the process, which nobody does anymore. Eating spots, I was really disappointed, and I think we really got to get to work on this. We need the media. Opie Taylor's was one of my favorite spots. Opie Taylor was one of my favorite spots, and I was really brokenhearted when I found out it had closed and, susceptible or succumbed to COVID. But Malibu's always been good to me. I like hole in the walls, so I'm looking for new hole in the wall spots. And then, I would eat at Convenient Mart a lot. I don't know how the sandwiches are, but I'd eat at Convenient Mart a lot. And I'm just looking forward to mooching off the program a little bit. Leftover scraps. I was famous for doing that. I'm pretty cheap. I've got the alligator arms. I've been known to forget my wallet a time or two when it's time to go out to dinner. And, but there's no shame in it. I come by and honestly, I'm cheap and have alligator arms and, pray to God every time that someone foots the bill.
Coach, thank you for your time. And guys, we'll get with you and let you know what we're going to do Thursday with Kenya. But again, Coach, thank you for your time, and hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did.
And JD, give them all my number in case they want to shoot me a text or just holler at me with any questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Instagram or Twitter. How do you want me to put it out?
Phone number.
No, I know. You want me to put it on Instagram?
I'm not on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, and I'm about to ban myself. But I just want to see I usually like to see what people are thinking. I can't wait to argue with Bozich. Bozich and I have gone through the ringer a time or two. Can't wait to see what he's putting out. Sin looks like he's capable of some stuff too. I'll come after him too.
I try. I do what I can.
I like it.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dane.
Thanks, Dane. Appreciate it.
Thank you.